This podcast is based on research conducted by Groundswell staff and volunteers. The research explores the health of homeless women in London.
We spoke to 104 women across London who are experiencing homelessness. The research was designed and conducted by staff and volunteers with lived experience of homelessness. It's important to remember that this research is only a snapshot of what women are experiencing in London. The podcast includes a mixture of quotes from participants, the researchers' own experience of homelessness, and their experiences of conducting the research.
Being a peer researcher and talking to people has really helped me myself as well. Being able to relate to people and their experiences and understand how they're actually feeling has really helped me and another person that I was talking to. I actually think they feel more comfortable when they have a common knowledge with somebody. And I know when I was going through a really bad time in my life, I would have really liked it if somebody could talk to me who had a bit of knowledge about how I was feeling. It would have really helped me. And because I've been through all this experience, I'm thinking, well, why can't I use it and try and help others and support them in any way I can?
It's the offering of that empathy that I think makes people able to talk. There's various different types of homelessness, and whatever anyone's experienced, there often comes a lot of judgment if you're discussing things like that. And I knew myself, if I was going to talk to someone about what me and my family went through, then I would be more comfortable talking to someone who'd experienced it. And I do believe that we can't change policy until we get the honest stories from people who've had the lived experience. Otherwise it all comes with judgment and nothing changes.
We asked women about how they became homeless.
From the research, we found out that 3 biggest causes of homelessness was due to relationship breakdown, physical health issues, and domestic violence.
A lot of the women I came across, I actually found that they'd had a relationship breakdown, but mainly it was a family breakdown, which left people feeling really isolated with no support whatsoever. Not a very good start for somebody who's on the street. I actually experienced that myself at 16 and a half, and it's taken me many, many years to recover from that. And I fully understand what women are going through with relationship breakdowns.
Sexual abuse, I think it's the same sort of thing. Once that, we often don't realise how much we rely on one person, on one relationship or on one family member. And I think once that's gone, it's very difficult to find yourself back.
Relationship breakdown and being abused for 3 years were the reasons I became homeless. After the relationship broke down, I tried to stay for 3 years. I tried to work with the council to move. And that's when I was asked, has the person put a gun to your face? Has your life been threatened? Because I'd never been admitted to hospital or anything like that, there wasn't anything to say I was in danger.
25% of participants had experienced sexual abuse.
This woman says, because I left my job, and it was also because my boss was asking sexual favors. One reason, and then other things. My father passed away, a few things all together, and then I used to have problems with drugs as well, but mainly the fact that I had to leave my job because of my boss.
We asked women how long they had been homeless for.
So 65% of the women that we spoke to had been homeless for more than a year. I think another important point is that many of the women had been homeless multiple times, so it's not sort of an on-off switch, it's more of a sort of revolving door where people kind of come in and out of repeated homelessness.
42% of participants had been homeless before.
We asked women how their homelessness affected their health.
65% of women struggled to find the motivation and confidence to deal with their health issues while they're homeless.
74% of women had a current physical health condition.
Many conditions started and were made worse by homelessness, this woman told us. Because I was having a hand operation and I was trying to keep that clean, and you can't do that on the street, and my doctor was horrified to know that I was carrying my clothes around in my bag.
The research found the most frequent health problems were issues with joints, bones and muscles, problems with feet and stomach issues. People also reported chronic breathing problems, asthma, fainting, blackouts and sight problems.
There was a person who was interviewed who was diagnosed with fibromyalgia, is that how you say it?
Fibromyalgia,
Thank
that's
you.
awful. Really.
Yeah. And then she'd been in and out of temporary accommodation in hostels and night shelters, refused an offer of accommodation because it wasn't suitable because of her health condition, and then the council refused to rehouse her and classed her as intentionally homeless.
This woman talked about health and how you could get health condition on the streets. I quote, "But my physical health through being out on the streets, I have got now lifetime illness. COPD is a killer. Eventually, I will have to use an oxygen mask. Eventually, I will be bedbound because I won't be able to walk or move without being out of breath."
I was with my partner for, I would say, 20 years. We met when he was homeless. From there, we built a relationship. I got pregnant. Unfortunately, we were badly housed, and where we were housed, we had no immediate family. So when we had the first stillborn child, it affected us quite badly. We weren't given the right level of support, bereavement counselling, etc., etc. Our house was very, very damp, but our housing association constantly said that it was condensation. So it was a battle. Then they introduced bedroom tax, and it just, our bills spiraled out of control. And it created a homeless problem. Then my health declined. I was working full time. I came home from work. I had a heart attack.
You are under stress constantly. It means you're very vulnerable in terms of illness and everything.
39% of women in this research had experienced domestic violence.
Question on the survey, do you have children? And she got extremely upset, and then she started, she wanted to continue with the survey, so she started telling me about what had happened to her. And she was from a different country. Apparently she was imprisoned. She was gang raped in this country, and her children were taken off her, and I think her husband ran away with her children. So she came over here as a refugee. I came across another two ladies who had suffered FGM, female genital mutilation. That was very upsetting, and those two ladies were suffering extreme depression, anxiety and post-traumatic stress.
We found from the interviews that not only was violence quite a high cause for people becoming homeless, but was then something that perpetuated and would come up in various situations where the people were street homeless, they'd be frightened for their safety, or living in emergency accommodation, temporary accommodation, in hostels, in night shelters. They then found that similar circumstances could appear.
We spoke to women about their mental health and the impact of homelessness.
64% of women we spoke to had mental health problems, and this compares to 20% of the general population.
Some of the issues that they are facing, because they're so stressed out, the situation or the amount of the stress can actually or has caused their period to stop. This woman had mental health issues, and the mental health issues contributed to her homeless situation. And she said, "I am bipolar, stage 1 bipolar, and I've got split personality disorder. I got that ever since I've been homeless."
It was really good going around to some of the services and seeing that they had like women only afternoons or mornings, because I think a lot of the women found that really safe. There were some structured activities that you could be involved with, and it's a chance to just sit and to talk with other women.
We asked women about the support they got from services. Here's what they said.
Many of the women that we spoke to also says that their ability to access day centers and homelessness charity have given them great medical support and outreach, and that this support had been invaluable to their health. From the research, we also found out that on a positive note, the women do enjoy being interviewed or talked to by other women, as it gave them the opportunity to let down their guard, it broke down barriers, give them that confidence that they are talking to a fellow woman.
It's about gender-informed and gender-specific services, isn't it? It's trying to understand that it's not about debating what's needed, it's about listening to the women who've had experience, and they are saying that gender-informed or gender-specific services could benefit them.
So we found actually that many people were registered with specialist GP services or with a normal GP practice, which was great because actually many people experiencing homelessness actually struggle to get to a GP appointment. But we also found that the secondary care use was still very high. So for example, 42% of participants had been to A&E in the last 12 months.
Low self-esteem and confidence mean that women often do not value themselves enough to get help. One woman spoke of how she avoided support services because she was embarrassed by her situation.
What's HHPA? All right, it's Homeless Health Peer Advocacy. And why is it important and what does it mean? It's to do with helping people to attend their health appointments and to be a voice for them, intervene on their behalf, and also advocate for them. Because they have had a really bad experience before, they've been marginalized and they have been mistreated. A lot of people tend not to go. So if there is someone with them to advocate and intervene on their behalf, then they are happier and also able to go to their appointments.
To read the full report, please go to www.groundswell.org.uk.
I want to say a massive thank you to the Greater London Authority for funding this research. I want to say a massive thank you to all the wonderful services. I want to say a really special thank you to all the volunteers and to all the participants who shared their stories and their time with us.
Never give up hope. That's the most important thing. Never give up.